Welcome back to the show, everyone.
Thanks for joining us today.
All right, let's talk about a question that's on pretty much every medical aspirant's mind. What happens if your NEET score isn't exactly what you were hoping for? Does that mean the dream is on pause for another year? Well, today we're going to look at a really interesting possibility. Sikkim Manipal Institute of Medical Sciences. This could just be the answer you've been looking for. Let's dive right in.
You know that feeling, right? That anxiety after the NEET exam? You've put in all the work, but the competition is just insane. And the thought of having to wait a whole other year, it can be absolutely crushing. But what if a score of, say, 200 or 250 wasn't the end of the road? What if it was just a different starting line?
So just imagine for a second, securing a seat in a highly rated, well-respected medical college, even without being in that top 1%. Now, this isn't some fantasy. It's a real pathway that honestly a lot of students just don't know about. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack today, what might just be a golden opportunity.
Okay, so first things first, let's really define the problem we're talking about here. It's what I call the low score dilemma. You've qualified NEET, which is a huge achievement in itself, but your rank is in that tricky middle zone. Government colleges are probably out of reach, and you're not sure what the next move is. But here's the thing, and this is the main takeaway I want you to have. A lower score doesn't mean you have to hit pause on your dreams. Your journey to becoming a doctor doesn't necessarily have to be delayed. There are some really solid, high-quality options out there. You just have to know where to look. Which, of course, brings us to the main event. Let's take a closer look at one of these potential solutions. A really well-established college that just might be the perfect fit. Let me introduce you to the Sikkim Manipal Institute of Medical Sciences, or SMIMS. And listen, its credentials are seriously impressive. It's been around since 1995, so it's got history. It's ranked among the top 5 private medical colleges in the entire country. Plus, it has a 550-bed hospital attached to it. Now, what that really means for a student is amazing clinical exposure, because the patient flow there is incredibly high. These aren't just stats on a page. This is the bedrock of a great medical education. Okay, so we've established it's a great college, but the million-dollar question is, how do you actually get in? This is where things get really, really interesting. Let's break down the whole seat situation. The big number we start with is 150. That's the total number of MBBS seats up for grabs at SMIMS every single year. But the real story, the opportunity, is hidden in how these 150 seats are divided up. So think of those 150 seats like a pie. It's sliced into 4 main categories. The biggest piece of the pie, by a long shot, goes to the Sikkim government quota. Then you've got pretty big slices for an all-India quota and a dedicated Northeast quota. And finally, a smaller sliver is kept for management and defense seats. It's this unique mix that really opens up the doors. All right, let's zoom in because the details here are everything. You see that Sikkim government quota with 80 seats? Well, here's the kicker. 50 of those seats are completely 100% free, as in 0 tuition fees. The other 30 are full fee seats. Then you've got 32 seats for students from anywhere in India, another 32 seats specifically for students from the Northeast, 5 for management or NRI, and 1 dedicated seat for someone from a defense family. Understanding this chart is the key to figuring out your best shot. Okay, that naturally leads us to the next big question on every student and parent's mind: the money. What's the financial investment actually look like? So, for most of the seats, the general, all India, and Northeast quotas, the annual tuition fee is 18.7 lakhs. And one really helpful thing they do is let you pay it in 6-month installments, which can definitely make it easier to manage. As you'd expect, the management quota is more expensive, coming in at 35.2 lakhs per year. But here it is, the most incredible number of all: 0. For those 50 seats under the Sikkim government quota, the annual tuition is nothing, zilch. It is a completely life-changing opportunity for anyone who's eligible. And just when you thought it couldn't get better, check this out. The cost for your hostel and food for the entire year is only about 55,000 rupees. I mean, compared to other private colleges where that cost alone can be several lakhs, this is unbelievably affordable. It just adds so much value to the whole package. Now, it's super important to think beyond just the MBBS degree. A huge part of being a doctor is what comes next, your post-graduation, your specialization. So what's the story at SMIMS after you finish your degree? Okay, this is a massive, massive long-term benefit. SMIMS has 32 PG seats in 14 different specialties, including the really competitive ones like general medicine, orthopedics, and OBGYN. But here's the absolute best part. If you do your MBBS from SMIMS, you automatically become eligible for the state quota for these PG seats. It's like having a home field advantage. It gives you a much, much better shot at landing a great MD or MS seat right there.
So if all of this sounds like something you want to seriously consider, you're probably wondering, okay, what do I actually have to do? What's the next step? Well, the process is actually surprisingly simple. Step 1, you have to have qualified the NEET exam. That's non-negotiable. Step 2, you fill out the application form for SMMs itself, which basically works as their counseling form. And step 3, well, that's it. There's no separate stressful entrance exam for the college, which is a huge relief.
And just to be crystal clear about who can apply, the basic academic boxes you need to tick are pretty standard. You need to have passed your 10+2 with physics, chemistry, and biology. And your minimum marks in those subjects need to be 50% for the general category and 40% if you're in the SC/ST category.
So when you put it all together, the great reputation, the really unique seat structure, the surprisingly low costs, and that huge post-graduation advantage, you have to ask yourself a simple question. With all these different ways to get in, even with a lower NEET score, could SMMS be your golden opportunity? It's definitely something to think about.
Want to know the secret to getting into a top MBBS university abroad without breaking the bank? Just type MBBS abroad or study abroad and send us a WhatsApp message right now. Get a free consultation call with our study abroad experts and discover lowest fee universities, NMC approved colleges, complete admission process free. Don't let confusion hold you back. Message MBBS abroad today and start your medical journey. Link in description. Hurry, limited slots available.